The chief also gave me some letterhead, so what I did was just kind of cut and paste it. I scanned the Jamestown Police Department letterhead and just cut and paste it in. There's still some things we need to adapt. Some of you still have different names on it and stuff, but I don't know how often we want to put in stuff we meet and all that stuff, but we can talk about that. Ron was good enough. Everyone met Ron? No. Crowley, right? Crowley. Did that right? See, Cornelia, French guy, how about that? Ron was good enough to come and talk to us when we were trying to get this off the ground at what was then the Substance Abuse Task Force. It is now a Prevention Coalition. So he had said once we get going, he'd be glad to come down and help us get things going. So he sent us the forms, which are a big help. And now he's going to kind of go through this stuff and tell us where we need to go from here.
Okay.
That's all you have, Ron.
All right. It's good to be here, and on behalf of Acting Chief Judge Bedrosian, we welcome the Jamestown Board to the state boards. You are now the 34th board in the state. We still have a couple more. North Providence is going to be coming online very, very soon. And we have a couple of communities that we're still working with, trying to get them to come on. Just so you get a little bit of background on the boards, last year they heard approximately 770 cases statewide. So that's 770 cases that were not in the family court, that did not have to go to family court. Many of the cases that are going to come before your board are cases that are probably best served here at the local level and being sent down to Newport or up to Providence or wherever. A lot of it gives the police department more discretion as far as who to charge and what to charge and how it's going to be handled. One thing that I tell most of the boards that I've been with, hopefully that there is a resource of community service locations on the island that you can access. I know each community is different due to union regulations, type of supervisory position. So who wants to do supervisory work? If you're going to have them, do cleanups on the beaches, who's going to supervise them? Who's going to be responsible for the kids? What type of duties are they going to be responsible for when you have them there? If you have like an animal shelter, what's your regulations as far as what they can do? At the pond itself, how much interaction they can have with the animals who are there. That's going to be taken care of on a local level. We don't get involved in that.
Why don't you put like a public service announcement in the paper or something?
That would be really, really helpful. It's a lot of competition out there though for community service. A lot of the high schools now require it.
Who would be
a lot of colleges, being a college, a mission officer, I'm sure you look for that in your applications. So there's a lot of competition. Nobody has to know where the kids come from. So it's not like you have to say, oh, these are the kids from the hearing. Just make the referral, have the kids go down, do their community service. Hopefully it's meaningful community service. There was one, matter of fact, it's Newport. Newport had a couple of instances where they had kids come before their boards who were very, very good musically. And what they did is they had the kids teach music classes, after school music classes, which really, really kind of brought out the creativity in a couple of these kids that they had. So there's a lot of good things that you can do. Being a small community, nobody knows better how to deal with your kids than you yourselves.
Would that be in Thompson School? Would that be where would they teach the classes?
I thought it was at one of the elementary schools, but they were Thompson School. I think they either Thompson or Rogers School, if I remember correctly. This was a few years ago, but it was, it was really. I know it was down on the island. I'm almost positive it was Newport, but it might have been Portsmouth. But they were teaching classes and music classes and doing stuff. So there's a lot of meaningful community service that you can do.
Are they limited, kids, to what they can do in community service?
It's going to be whatever your town regulations are. Each town's different.
I
As far as where you can put them, what they can do. That's something that you guys have to deal with internally.
think if we can put a public service ad in and see who's interested in what, talked about in the past is the restorative justice aspect, which is, I think, what we're looking at. Depending on what they did in the community and try to tie that in, you know, in their sanction is something that, I mean, you know, cleaning up graffiti or picking up litter or...
And generally, it's been, police department has used kids in the past, recreation department, school has, and fire department. I don't know other services. Library uses quite a few kids too.
It's already hyping for
I think the ambulances use them.
Free,
too.
free,
The ambulances.
ambulances, so there are quite a few.
Summertime, the community farm.
There's a lot of, but it's
Yeah,
just one of the...
there's five, or just
I also,
to put them
I
together.
also like, you know, writing an apology and doing things, and there's a lot, I mean, there's a lot of different things. If we had time
You
to
got
go through-
restitution, you got the, you know, letters of apology, you get school reports, you can have them, you know, submit. Matter of fact, I think Newport's one of the boards that I think the kids have to bring their report cards with them. And the report card is usually a very, very good indicator of what's going on in a kid's life, because you can look at it and say, Johnny's going from A's and B's down to C's and D's, what's going on, and maybe the underlying problem is not the assault or the graffiti or the vandalism or what's going on. Maybe it's something bigger that, you know, you guys can get into and actually make referrals to, you know, mental health agencies and public agencies that can, you know, address the whole problem, not just the underlying situation. So
Everybody had time to look at this stuff. I mean, it could be, it says referrals, counseling, curfews, work restrictions, essays, fines, revocations of driving privileges.
and just so you know on that one right there, the only ones that can suspend licenses are judges. They're the only ones that can suspend the license. You can restrict a license. And on an island like Jamestown, it would probably be very, very easy to do, because the police officers who have the beats probably know who the kids are and know where they live, and they would know whether or not that there's a restriction placed on them. Now, you can't charge them with suspended license or whatever, but what you can do is, which I'm going to get into in a little bit, is that they violated the terms of their agreement here at the hearing board. And then what you do is the police department or the chief or his designate, his prosecution officer, then what he does is rescinds the order and then sends the case to family court for disposition.
The only thing I took issue with, and maybe you could address it, and I'm coming as a high school teacher, was writing an essay, which I thought was BS, that the kids would take it as writing an essay was a fluff.
It really depends on what you have.
It's a tool that you have, it's just something that you have in your toolbox. Nobody says that it has to be done.
I don't know, in my experience with the kids, how seriously they take it.
At the training school, we had a program called Project Peer. And what the kids had to do was write an essay to what we call the reclassification board back then, going back a little while. And these were kids who were looking to either get in the community for work release or for early releases, and they had to write an essay to us. And if they wrote an essay and were sincere, I mean, we should be able to see who's sincere, who's not sincere, they would be allowed at that point probably to stop being part of the Project Peer program, which would be going in the community and doing presentations on their stuff.
Which I hope you guys access.
Yeah.
Being part of it at one point in your life, I hope that that is one thing that you really, really get the kids involved with.
There's connections there, so.
I was going to say, that's a very, very good program. I mean, we've used it in family court for years. It does work. There are going to be those kids that no matter what you do for them, you're not going to get to them. You know, as a teacher, that some kids you can get to them, other kids you can't get to them. But for the most part, usually a good wake-up call. You're getting them early in their, well, I don't want to say criminal lives, but in their, you know, making the wrong decisions. So you're going to get them very, very early. So what we do here at the hearing board level is going to greatly impact what happens later on in life. But you can't save everybody. There's going to be kids that no matter what you do for them are going to go on and reoffend. And then what we do with them, they're going to reoffend some more and some more and some more. As Gary can tell you, that there's kids that they go the revolving door. They're just going to keep going around and around and around. Hopefully you get them early enough and you can turn them around before it's too late.